Good morning. As you're watching this, it is Friday morning, May 2nd. As I'm recording this, it is 5 p.m. on Thursday, May 1st, May Day, which is what I think everybody here in the United States is saying to our friends in Europe and Canada. May Day. In French, it means help me. And we need all the help we can get. That's for sure. Wednesday, which is 2 days ago for you and 1 day ago for me, Nadine Smith and Lisa Graves did a wonderful show on the 5, 8 and a half, which I encourage you to go watch in case you missed it. One of the topics that they talked about was Trump's interview that he gave with ABC News. The guy's name is Terry Moran, ABC News, in the Oval Office, and it was a disaster. I just had a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share about it because I think it's important, even though in the grand scheme of things, it isn't, right? So, first of all, they're arguing about the tattoo. Abrego Garcia supposedly has gang tattoos, MS-13 gang tattoos on his hand. Never mind that Trump cannot tell MS-13 from 21 Pilots or Blink-182. He's got no idea what any of this even means. He held up a picture and shared it on his social media, showing his hand, Abrego Garcia's hand, and the tattoos there. And above the tattoos, it says on each finger, MS-13. This is photoshopped on. It's clearly photoshopped on. And Trump refused during the interview, just refused to admit that it was photoshopped. And not only did he refuse to admit that it was photoshopped, got angry and sort of insisted that Moran also admit that no, the tattoos are there, they're on his hand, they're real. You know, what's photoshopped is real. So 2 things I want to talk about with this. The first thing is, when I saw that graphic that he shared, I assumed that the Photoshop pieces of it were indicating to me, not being, well aware or well versed in gang tattoos, what each of the 4 tattoos on his hand symbolizes. So he's got a marijuana leaf, that's an M. He's got a smile, that's an S. A cross is a 1, and the other thing is a skull is the 3. And it has it and shows it that way, and it's pointing it out. Okay, Trump, this is my first point, is so fucking stupid. He can't even read the damn thing correctly. He can't even make the argument that these tattoos indicate it's MS-13. He can't do that because his brain can't grasp it. He's too stupid to figure it out. So he insists that what's there in Photoshop, which again was put there in Photoshop to help him make this argument, he is insisting that the Photoshop is real. Okay? So the first point is, Trump is a fucking moron. We know this already. He's an idiot. Now, the other point is, with the insistence, okay, the insistence that he forced this reporter, this journalist, his hand-picked journalist, because he says it during the interview, I picked you, or whatever he said, Terry Moran, ABC News. I picked you, I plucked you out of obscurity. I don't think he said obscurity. I don't think he knows that word. Too many syllables. Anyway, Trump basically implied, I created you, therefore, you should just do whatever I say, And what's dangerous about this, it reminded me of something that happened the first time around, okay? The war on reality that we constantly are engaged in with this guy. So in Rough Beast, my book that I wrote in whatever, it came out in May, the first chapter is called Dishonest Abe Lies, Damn Lies, and Stuff Donald Says. And I'm making the argument in the book that Donald is a serial liar. And I think the first part here is very, very important, just to take you back, okay? The Trump presidency began with an assault on the truth. The first time that Sean Spicer, the newly minted press secretary, addressed the White House press corps, he lied about the size of the crowd at the inauguration. And he did so at the new president's stubborn insistence, right? You remember this. Everybody knew he was lying. I knew, he knew, Sean Spicer knew, the press corps knew, SNL certainly knew. Even Chuck Todd, no journalistic paragon, took exception to it in what wound up being a historic episode of Meet the Press, on which Kellyanne Conway coined the term alternative facts. That all came out at the same time, okay? There was uneasiness, certainly, and plenty of jokes made at Spicer's expense, but few imagined that this pathetic spectacle was merely the opening salvo in a 4-year onslaught against reality. It was actually an 8-year onslaught against reality. It was only 4 years that he was in office. Trump's war on the truth did not begin when he took office, of course. Maybe it started when Jeff Zucker, president of CNN, gave him all that free airtime and presented him falsely as a serious presidential candidate. Maybe it started when the Apprentice showrunner, Mark Burnett, packaged him falsely as a successful self-made billionaire, trust-washing him for the American public. Maybe it started when Trump joined Twitter and opted to insert the word real in his handle before his actual name. Or maybe it started on his first visit to Moscow in 1987, when the KGB began cultivating him in earnest. Whatever the case, the annihilation of truth is Trump's greatest achievement as president, his lone success. During those miserable 4 years, reality was not the winner. So many lies, so much gaslighting, so much BS. The first chapter of Dirty Rubles is called The Russia Lie. Dirty Rubles is the book I wrote in 2018 about this lying guy. At that time, I wrote, throughout the campaign, during the transition period, and after the inauguration, Donald Trump and his surrogates vehemently denied meeting with Russians of any stripe for any purpose. Every time they were asked about a connection between the campaign and the Kremlin, they shot it down, and they were indignant about it. The response was always something along the lines of, Russia? Us? How dare you accuse us of such a thing? I wrote that 2018, and then I listed 17 separate times Trump or one of his proxies flat out lied about his connections to the Kremlin. These were, I pointed out, all lies, the same big lie repeated over and over. But this was different. This wasn't about the size of his bank account or his good cholesterol levels or his penis. This was about national security, about cozying up to an enemy. And yet still, Trump and his minions went on TV, took to Twitter, stood behind the podium in the White House press room, and lied egregiously to the American people over and over and over and over. That's what I wrote in 2018 in Dirty Rubles, which I'm quoting in Rough Beast. Now I'm back to Rough Beast, okay? I wrote that in 2018. The lies kept on coming. The lies still keep on coming. With Donald Trump, the lies never stop. We were told that Trump's campaign was self-funded. It wasn't. We were told that he would drain the swamp. He didn't even try. We were told that he would bring his successful businessman's experience to Washington. This is a man who went broke running a casino. We were told Jared and Ivanka would be a moderating influence. They may well be more ghoulish than Donald. We were told Trump would release his taxes. The alleged audit outlasted his presidency. We were told he would release Melania's immigration paperwork. We're still waiting. We were told a wall would be built, and we were told Mexico would pay for it. The wall was not built, and Mexico did not turn over a single peso. We were promised a better health care plan than Obamacare. The ready in 2 weeks details are yet to be revealed. We were told Trump was the healthiest president of all time, ever. He isn't. We were told he was 6'3", 239. He's well shorter than that and far heftier. We were told the midnight run to Walter Reed in November 2020 was the first part of a physical, a cover story even the press seemed to realize was bunk in the moment. We still don't know why he was rushed there. Panic attack? Stents? Exorcism? Even when white powder flew out of his nose on live TV, even when he appeared impaired, His eyes dilated. Not a single member of the media told us about his drug use. Despite Noel Kassler, a talent handler on Celebrity Apprentice and an eyewitness, repeatedly insisting, including in an interview with me, that Trump was a habitual user. We were told there was no communication between Russia and anyone associated with Trump or his campaign. Turns out Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Cohen, Jeff Sessions, Mike Flynn, Carter Page, and George Papadopoulos, at a minimum, all communicated with Putin's proxies. We were told the Mueller investigation was a witch hunt. It was actually a hunt for traitors, and it found plenty. We were told Trump would be tough on Putin. He capitulated to him like a sniveling BDSM bottom in the world's least sexy bondage club. We were told the novel coronavirus was like the flu. We were told it was a hoax. We were told it was under control. We were told that one day it would just go away like a miracle. We were told it would be gone by Easter 2020. We were told the Democratic governors were to blame. We were told Fauci was not to be trusted. We were told the CDC was not to be trusted. Instead, we should put our faith in Michael Caputo, a GOP dirty trickster who once worked for Vladimir Putin and whom Trump inexplicably installed as a spokesman at Health and Human Services. We were told Mike Pence, who as governor of Indiana presided over the worst U.S. HIV outbreak in the last 20 years, was the best man to manage the pandemic response. We were told that he did a fantastic job. We were told masks didn't work, that wearing them was government overreach, an assault on our freedoms. We were told it was safe to reopen months before it was. We were told herd immunity was a smart strategy. We were told that certain already available drugs treated COVID-19 just fine. We were told the infection rate would be lower if we did less testing. We were told the virus wasn't especially contagious, even as it spread like wildfire through the West Wing. We were told the effects were not that bad, even as Chris Christie spent a week in the ICU, even as Herman Cain died. We were told the Trump administration's handling of the pandemic was top-notch, despite Jared Kushner killing a plan devised by his own hand-picked advisors that would have saved countless lives, especially in blue states. We were told that the pandemic was over, even as the death toll hit 350,000. We were told that upon taking office, Joe Biden would immediately shut down the country because he was a pawn of China who would use the virus as an excuse to establish a communist government in Washington. We were told there would be a pivot. We were told Trump was strong. We were told Trump was a fighter. We were told, on those rare occasions when he read from the teleprompter without going off script, that he was presidential. We were told he cared about people. We were told he cared about the victims of the hurricane in Puerto Rico. We were told he isn't a sexist, isn't a racist. We were told he was only joking. And then there were all the lies about the 2020 election and the fake electors and the voting machines and Trump's failed coup attempt of January 6, 2021, lies that are now immortalized in a House investigation report and scores of criminal trials. Who are you going to believe, Chico Marx famously quipped? Me or your lying eyes? And now, cleft by 7 years, now it's 8 years, of pounding by a psychological battering ram, 4 years with Trump in the office, 4 with him out, our national reality is fractured. Alternative facts prevail. There is no universal agreed upon truth. And this is exactly what we were warned during the Reagan years that the Russians were trying to do via psychological warfare. The KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov explained back in 1984, quote, change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions. Mission accomplished, comrades. Now, I read all that because obviously we're in the same place right now. This thing with the ABC News guy, it seems like not a big deal. Tattoos, Photoshop, who cares? It is a big deal. Everything is a big deal. It's an assault on reality. And the reason why half the country has no fucking idea what's going on is because there's these alternative realities going on right now that are being perpetuated by a craven, disgusting, disgraceful legacy media. You know, Fox News, but even some of the better papers are just, capitulating. So I don't know what the solution is, but one of the solutions has to be to call out lies when they happen, even the little lies, because if you accept the little lies in the moment as Terry Moran did during the interview. He accepted it so he could move on. If you accept the little lies, the lies are just going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And Trump will never stop. He can't stop. He won't stop. And that's how it's going to be. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you for indulging me, and have a great weekend.